Hello and welcome on in, everybody. Welcome back. We are here with day 2 of 2 with Natalie for some greeting cards. I'm going to be your host, Sam Peterson. Natalie, thanks for coming back. Thanks for joining us again. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing good.
Awesome. Well, before we jump into it today, I just want to give everyone a quick reminder. We are doing the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with Paul Tranny. We just had that stream before us. So check it out. This is week 2 of 2 for that, Monday through Friday, every day at 9 o'clock Pacific time. There's also a community Discord and a bunch of challenges going on, so give that a look. Also, if you're over on YouTube, come join us here on behance.net/Adobe Live. That's where we're going to be able to see your comments and questions. And I just want to say hey to everyone in the chat. General Kenobi, Andreas, Wade Cuff, our moderator. What's going on, Wade? Asia, Umacorn, welcome on in, everybody. Good to see you. So, Natalie, if anyone wasn't here yesterday, why don't you give us a little recap on what you did and tell us a little bit about yourself and the kind of work that you do?
Yeah, so just quickly about me. My name's Natalie, and I'm the artist behind Threeologie. I've been doing lettering for about 6 years now, and my work ranges from all types of projects. So sometimes I'm doing murals, sometimes I'm working with brands and doing some advertising with lettering. Sometimes I do greeting cards, hence why we're doing a greeting card today. So you can see my work on Instagram. Some of it's like just kind of me having fun and throwing up some personal work on there. But for the most part, I really need to update my portfolio on my website. So you'll see some of my work on there. And actually one of my more recent projects was I did some lettering for the LA Times cover for the food section for the Sunday paper. So that's always fun to see, like when I go pick up the paper and actually hold it. So yeah, that's pretty much me. And if you're back in session 2, or maybe you didn't come to session 1 yesterday, we were finishing up adding color to our e-card. And so right now we were just adding color, and we're going to finish up adding color here. We're keeping the outlines of our design in black, and our color is are on separate layers beneath that black layer, beneath the black outline layer. So that's where we're at today. And once we're done adding color, we can start making it. We can actually start making it into a photo card. So we have an e-card here, but we can also change it up to be a photo card. And I'll show you guys how to do that today as well.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's jump into it. And so yesterday we were just finishing up coloring in these sparkly areas. So I'm just gonna go and find my layer. And I think the next thing I want to color in are the ornaments. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new layer for this. So each time I'm filling in a section of my card, I'm just creating a new layer for that color. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign here. And again, I'm still using the pencil brush, and that is under sketching. You scroll down under pixel brushes, click on sketching, and select the pencil brush. And it should look something like this. So for the entire piece, in case you're, brand new to session 2, you can see that the entire piece is made from the sketching brush, because we want to get that feel of like a, hand-drawn illustration. So I'm just using that for everything, even filling in color for this card.
Yeah, that gives it some nice consistency.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back. I have my color palette up here as well.
And you're just turning the brush, kind of tilting it sideways to get those bigger strokes, right? With the same brush.
This will give me that bigger stroke and kind of a different texture. If I'm going straight above, it'll look something like this, and then tilting it will look something like this. Okay. And just to help me a little bit better, I'm going to pull my color palette down just closer to my ornaments, and I'm going to go back to that layer to add some color. And let me just erase some of the stuff I put on here by accident. Okay, so for the ornaments, I think I'm just going to kind of go in and grab some of that gold and then just fill in the sections here. And again, like, you guys can use whatever colors that you want. The Christmas colors, you can kind of, it's good to go with like green and red. That's like the typical colors.
Yeah, I like the accent of the gold color with those other colors.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be too green and red, so I wanted to add something different to the color palette.
I think I probably use gold accents, kind of a yellow gold accent on way too many pieces. So maybe that's a bias of mine.
Yeah, for me it's pink. I use pink on everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
how we have those kind of repetitive color palettes that we just kind of, I mean, for me at least, it's kind of unconscious. I just sort of tend towards those.
Yeah. And I just like to zoom out just to see how it looks, just to see if it fits. And again, I can update it and adjust it as I go.
Also,
Just trying to
Joanna,
stick to the colors.
sorry. Joanna in chat says, nice combination of fonts. It has kind of a vintage feel to it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. It does kind of look vintage actually. That's kind of the feel. I wanted it to feel like really warm and inviting. That was like kind of the thing I wanted to go for, especially because like holidays, I love like Christmas and the holiday season. So I really wanted to give it that feel.
Yeah, definitely. Also, welcome in to George and Alona in the chat. Good to see everyone.
So I'm just filling in my ornaments. And again, you guys can, choose whatever colors you want. I'm just trying to stick to my color palette. I don't want to go too crazy with a bunch of different colors. Okay, so those two ornaments are done, and I'm just going to continue.
Would you say you have like a sort of number one tip that you repeatedly find yourself giving people?
A number one tip. I would say you have a lot of good questions, Sam. I would say probably my number one tip in terms of lettering is to practice on paper. That's something I tend to tell a lot of people, especially people that are, that want to learn more and get better at it. And I've spoken to a lot of people who are new to lettering, and they're always wondering, how can I be a great lettering artist or be a really good lettering artist? And so I always say, just practice on paper, because, the iPad and tablets are great, but you kind of have sort of a lot of assistance when it comes to drawing on these things, and it kind of can make it easier when you're using Streamline or settings that make your lines really nice and clean. So I think it's good practice to just work on paper. For the longest time I didn't have an iPad. I think I got an iPad 2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago, and so I during that time I didn't get an iPad, and I didn't really think I needed it. I eventually got the iPad, and I realized because I didn't get an iPad for so long, my lettering was I had improved my lettering a lot just by working on paper and not having the tools to make it easier to draw. So I think it's really beneficial to work on paper, practice on paper, especially if you want to do lettering.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with that level of control that you get with a pen or a pencil on paper. I think I did that for a good while before I got my tablet. So I agree that definitely helps.
Yeah, and I also think it's I think both things are for me, they're really soothing just to kind of work on paper or work on the iPad. But just working on paper, for me, whenever I'm walking around the city or just kind of going for a walk, it's easier for me to carry my notebook, and I could toss it around. I'm not afraid to bump into things with it. So I like to kind of take it with me whenever I'm walking around a city, and it's just good practice.
Yeah, I've kind of found that between digital and traditional, there's always kind of different ways I have to think, I guess, depending on the medium. It almost kind of makes me emphasize different things or try different things. So it's good to mix it up, I think.
Yeah, and I think also if you practice on paper and you practice, besides using a tablet, you'll probably find that there are more projects available out there for you. And oh, can you guys still see my screen? I'm not sure if it's working.
Is it moving at all? I can see it, but I'm not sure if it's frozen.
Oh, it might be frozen.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any movement.
Okay. Can you see movement now?
It's back.
Okay,
We're
just
back.
making sure. I thought I was frozen there. Yeah, so I forgot what oh yeah, I was saying that, whenever you're working with paper and you're practicing on paper, I think like the projects open up more whenever you're um, doing paperwork, just because there are some clients that want projects to be done on paper. And, you just kind of open yourself up to other types of projects, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, I feel like I've always kind of learned something or strengthened a certain area of my art when I'm forced to try different methods and mediums.
Yeah, and then I also try to kind of force myself to use other mediums as well, just to kind of, whenever I'm like in a creative rut, I think it helps a lot just to kind of get your hands on other things.
Definitely.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to these leaves up here. Let me just grab some green and finish coloring in these leaves. Then we can move on to our reindeer at the top. It's actually kind of fun just to color in everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on a new layer, I'm gonna fill in the reindeer. So I'll start a new layer. I'll grab my brown. So I actually don't have a brown, I have this gold. What I'm gonna do is, because I don't have a color for the reindeer, I'm gonna select that gold and open up my color wheel and then drag this portion down a little bit, just to make it a little bit more brown. And then I'll see how that looks. And I think that looks good. And then I'll just fill it in.
Nice. Yeah, it's still very, very similar to the current color palette.
Yeah, I try to like, the way if I'm adding new color, I'll just kind of use that process where I'll just open up the color wheel and slightly move that little cursor a little bit, just so that it kind of still stays close to the color palette that I chose.
Also, we have a comment from Gabrielle in the chat that says, "Hey guys, huge fan of lettering. I've been really enjoying these videos, so thanks for putting it on." Yeah, thanks for joining us.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've actually been meeting a lot of, right now I'm traveling. I've been meeting a lot of people that are really interested in lettering. And I would say before, like, people didn't really know what lettering was. I had to explain it to them. And now I tell people, oh, I do lettering. They're like, oh, I'm trying to learn lettering. It's just, I feel like a lot of people are getting into it.
Yeah, didn't you say yesterday something about how there wasn't like much of a lettering community before a certain period that you got into it?
Yeah, I feel like when I first got into it, like I didn't really see that much of a community at all. Like I didn't even have any Instagram like right now I feel like I have some Instagram friends and I've met people, but before there was really nothing. I don't remember meeting anybody or knowing anybody personally. And I'm just gonna make my brown a little bit darker here for some shadow.
Did you originally find that community any specific place online? Like, did you find it through Instagram, or was there like when you first got into it, was there a place that you kind of found?
I think the way I found people was through Instagram and social media, but yeah, I think I made friends that way, and we ended up meeting up with each other. Like I met with some girls from LA, and then we ended up meeting up with each other and talking, and it was just really fun that way. Especially because like when you're working for yourself, you don't really meet a lot of people, and it's nice to know that there's a community there that you can reach out to and talk to. I just got lucky because a lot of these artists, or some of them, a good amount of them, live in LA actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. When I kind of first found the art that I was getting into, concept art and everything like that, it was a community forum that I found, and that kind of kickstarted my whole interest in it. So, I mean, that's a great thing about social media or some of those communities that you could find online, is I think it really helps facilitate these things for people and like kind of give them a place to learn about it and see other people are doing it. So that's how I got my start.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I feel like with social media, the cool thing about social media is like kind of brings creatives together. And so you get to meet and talk with other people. Like I feel like now I talk to a lot of people, so it's really great, especially because I don't know any other artists that I know personally, like in person, that I've met like outside of social media.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not true. I've met artists when I've worked at co-working spaces, but that's about it. They're hard to come by.
Yeah, for me, a lot of that has been like online, but then meeting people at conventions and like workshops related to those communities. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely a great
I
way. It kind
mean,
of brings people together.
yeah, I was really missing because of the pandemic, because there was, the social events kind of stopped. I was like kind of bummed about that because during that time I was like, I want to go to events like this. And then the pandemic hit, and then it was like, oh, you can't go to these events right now.
Yeah, actually, live streaming has been a huge part of that for me. I mean, speaking of community, we have, the Behance community here. There's a lot of people we see regularly. So there is really like a sense of community. But I think the whole freelance thing can be really tough. And for me, I think a way that I've gotten around that is live streaming. And it's kind of like it's that closest feel I guess you can get to being in a co-working space, but without people actually being there. You can kind of chat
Yeah.
while you work. Have you done any live streaming content before?
I've done, so I don't know if this is considered live streaming, but I've done virtual workshops where doing like something where people join a video call, and then that's kind of how I do it. But I've
Hmm.
actually haven't really done my own personal live stream, but I have been considering it, especially because I know that with Adobe you can live stream from your Behance profile, and that's kind of new, I think, or
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's relatively new, but if anyone isn't aware, you can actually live stream from your Behance profile now. So if you go to your Behance gallery and you see your icon in the top left, you should be able to click that and go live. So very accessible to stream from there if anyone hasn't done it before.
Yeah, have you done it before?
Yeah, I've been doing, man, I'm so bad with time, but I think yeah, for quite some time now they've had kind of a program going where initially it wasn't open to everyone. It was kind of testing it out, but yeah, now
Uh-huh.
anyone can join, and I've been doing that for quite some time now.
Oh wow, that's cool. Yeah, because I know it just opened up recently, and I thought it was a really cool feature that Behance added. Just because I feel like it's kind of hard to know how to stream unless you have like the proper tools for it. Like
Yeah.
especially, yeah, like if you want to like film in, like for example, I would use Zoom, and so that's pretty much what I would use. But now there's like another option, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's neat to have a platform that's like for designers. It's built into a gallery profile, which you don't really see. So I thought that was a cool concept.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think
that's very really true.
I think live streaming can seem intimidating to a lot of people, but I always do like to say you can start like as small as you want with live streaming. Like if you just get OBS, something like that to stream from, you
Oh
don't
yeah,
even
OBS.
yeah, yeah, you don't even need like a camera or a mic at first if you just, if you just want to try it, like you're broadcasting your
Hmm.
screen, what you're doing in
Yeah.
whatever software you use. And then if you like it and you're like, oh, I wish I could talk to people, you get a mic and like, oh, it'd be nice to have a little face cam so I can connect with people more. So you can kind of start off super, super bare bones and simple. And then if you want to do like stream graphics and all the fancy stuff down the line because you're getting into it, you can, but
Mm.
you can
I've never done. Do you do that? It's like stream graphics?
I made some. It's not something I like am good at designing, but I made some simple like overlays and stuff for my stream initially, and
Oh,
I've kind of
cool.
updated them over the years.
That's really cool. I didn't even think about that. The only
Yeah,
thing I thought about was just streaming a video.
yeah. I mean, you can get pretty fancy. If any of you have seen Ryan Selvey's streams here on Behance, like a lot of times he's working on stream graphics on his stream, and he gets a lot of cool animations and stuff with it. Sometimes watching his stuff, I'm like, man, I gotta up my production
Wow.
game a little bit.
That actually sounds kind of fun though to create those things too.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people I've seen on streaming platforms like that's what they do. Like they'll create emotes or they create like overlays and stream. It's basically branding at that point, right? Like you're kind of
Yeah.
creating a little assets that are consistent for somebody's brand.
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays, well, what I've heard about is like with streaming now, people are streaming with avatars. Like they put
Oh
on that suit,
yeah.
and it's like a character. Like it's not you, but it's like a character that you made or something. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
I I feel like I heard a term for that and I kept hearing it. I wasn't sure what it was. I want to say it's VTuber, but I could be wrong.
Oh,
Um
I don't know. I don't know. I was I think I was seeing it somewhere. I forgot where I saw it. I think it kind of blew up. Like I think there's a girl that's famous who
Oh,
she like
okay.
has like a big her character has like a really big head or something. And I think I don't know something like this. But
I'm
if
usually,
you
yeah, I'm usually pretty behind that stuff, but yeah, I've seen it here and there.
yeah, I know that well because like I was saying, like my husband's into game development and so all the new technology and he's always telling me about it and he showed me that like, oh, these people are streaming now. Like you could just use an avatar and stream. You don't even have to show your face anymore. I just thought, whoa, that's where the world is going, where you get like a suit and then you become somebody different that nobody will like know who what your real face looks like.
It's moving towards that metaverse with the avatars.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so I actually refilled the seasons with that green, but I'm gonna add a darker green to the bottom. I might still adjust the colors on it because I do want this green to stand out a bit more. But for now, what I'm gonna do is I have this layer here. I'm gonna create a new layer above that. I wanna get a little bit darker, so I'm just dragging this down a little bit, almost to black. And then let's create a puppy mask here and let's just do color in that bottom of the layer. So just here on the bottom. I might need to go darker because you can't really tell.
I feel like this texture is making me nostalgic. It's reminding me of those when I used to actually color, traditionally
Oh
with colored
yeah.
pencils and crayons and stuff like that.
Yeah, my sisters were watching the stream yesterday and they were like, you made me want to have like a coloring book. Like they were saying maybe you should make like a Christmas coloring book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
So I'm actually gonna see how this looks without the green mask because it's kind of hard to tell because it's clipping onto that sketchy look, so it's harder to see. I'm just gonna see how it looks. Let me try that again.
Also, Joanna says, does Adobe have creative conventions? Definitely would attend an Adobe convention. I think the closest thing would be Adobe Max, which, yeah, I guess the past couple years it hasn't been like in a physical location in person, but there's some great stuff that was going on at Adobe Max. I was able to attend one of them before they were fully remote. But yeah, a lot of emphasis on like the new features and everything, but just so many people from different areas of like creativity and people who kind of create all sorts of things, illustrators, graphic designers.
Yeah, and you could watch Adobe Live online for free, right? I think you can.
Yeah, there's a lot of saved stuff too from the streams. Not everything I believe was saved, but there's still a ton of content that you can check out with a lot of the major streams.
Yeah, I think going to one of those would be really fun too. Where did they have the one that you went to? Like, was it in California or?
San Francisco, I believe.
Oh, San Francisco. Okay.
Yeah, because that's where the headquarters is. Trying to remember exactly where it was, but don't actually recall. I think conventions are always great, though. There's always so much motivation I get from that. Like the issue I always had is I would be at a convention or a workshop, and then halfway through I'd be like, all right, I'm like at a 10 out of 10 for stoked and inspired. Like I just want to go home now, retreat into my art cave and draw. But that's why I thought the idea with the iPad was actually pretty great, because I was like, if I could just like be super excited while I'm there and just draw, during the presentations and stuff, best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's really cool. So were you, when's the last one that you went to?
Man, I guess, I think it might have been a TwitchCon. The one, Wade's in the chat. I went with Wade. We had a booth together actually, and I think that was probably the last convention I had been to, which was a few years ago at this point.
Pretty cool. So what is like a TwitchCon like?
Are you familiar with Twitch, the streaming platform?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just kind of something where a lot of the streamers go and they have, there's different presentations at booths and stuff like that. They also had an artist alley, which is what I attended, but I haven't actually done an artist alley ever before. That was my first one. I just wanted to try it out. It was a community that I'm pretty comfortable with, so I thought it was a good place to try it. But yeah, I hadn't done it before. I think I might do it again in the future if I feel like I have something I really want to kind of sell, or some sort of organized plan for what I would have at the booth. But it was mostly just an experiment, just to try it.
Cool.
Have you done conventions before?
I have never done a convention before.
Okay.
I think it'd be really fun. Like, I've heard a lot of great things about them. By the way, I duplicated the seasons outline just because I wanted it to show up a little bit more. Yeah,
Nice.
I think it'd be really fun to go to one. I've heard a lot of good things about them. And then I could imagine like you get a lot of like inspiration just from going to those things, and then you want to go home and create. I've gone to more like smaller types of things for like, I've gone to like women creative groups, which have always been super fun as well. In like LA and Hollywood, I've, met other creative women that way. But so far, like, I've never actually done like a convention, but it sounds really fun.
Yeah. It's always great energy and, a lot of inspiration and things to see.
And I'm just kind of duplicating my outlines just so you can see them a bit more. I'm gonna go up here and duplicate this group as well, so we can kind of see the outlines a bit more, that way they're not super blending into the background. And then if you guys recall, I was gonna add, like between this little area here, I was gonna add from the name of the person who's sending the greeting card. So for me, I could put my name. If it's, you and your family, you can put from your family name, whatever, depending on what you want to do, you could do it. But I'm going to put like my name for this one, just to kind of give you guys an example here. So I'm going to open up a new layer here. And let me just turn off my color palette really quick so I can kind of get a better idea for how this is looking. So I like to zoom in and out just to see how it looks. So far so good. Now I want to add my name in here. And whenever I'm like adding my name to something like this, I want to make it feel like I wrote it. So again, it's up to you guys if you want to do something more refined, but I'm just going to kind of write my name as if like, hey, this is from me. So I'm going to go up to my layer at the top. Again, we're sticking to the pencil brush, and I'm just going to go to black. It should look something like this. And I'm just going to put from Natalie here. And then just adjusting the size. And again, you guys can kind of make it thicker if you want. I'm going to make my letters a little bit thicker just so you can see it better. And again, just using like this boxy letter look. Trying to match like the top boxy letter as well. And sometimes people like to sign their name or something. You can sign your name if you want. I'm going to sign my name.
I like how you're mixing up the text type on this too.
Yeah, I want it to be like it's almost like a letter you're sending to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Just going over my name. Want to make it a little bit darker. Okay, have my name here, and I'm just seeing if I need to adjust anything. So far so good. I'm just gonna, again, I just like to like zoom out and take a look and see like where I can add things. But so far that looks good. And again, if you wanted to add something, like you can also put like your family name. So let me just duplicate this layer just to kind of give you guys an example of what I mean. So I'll hide my name. And then I'll erase just my name here. And like you could put like your family name. So I'll put from the, I just put like a popular last name from the Jones family. And again, I will probably adjust that sizing there. So I'll select just from the Jones family and then fit it better into that space.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I even remember 100% all the cursive letters. Just watching you write that.
Yeah, I'm trying to also make it so it's not super neat on purpose because I want it to feel that way. Again, like it's Christmas, people send cards. You want to make it feel like it's kind of like when you write like on the tag of a gift. I want it to feel kind of messy and like handwritten.
Yeah.
Okay, so that looks good. I'm also like, again, so as you zoom in and out, you might see what works, what doesn't. So as I'm looking at it, I kind of feel like the from just looks like it doesn't belong there. So what I would do is probably change the styling of the from. So I'm going to go back into there, into from, and then I'm going to erase it. So again, this is kind of just the process that I do whenever I'm like creating art or working on projects. I'll zoom in, zoom out, see what works, see what doesn't work. You kind of have to have like an overall view of what you're creating just to kind of point out what the things that don't work with the design.
Mm-hmm. And we have a question from Nicholas in chat. They said they used to hand draw, let me scroll up here, hand draw greeting cards with calligraphy pens, but now that I'm familiar with Illustrator a bit, I'll probably just use that going forward. And they also say, do you know a good spot to get them printed as well? Which makes me wonder, do you print much of your work?
So I do not print my work. I normally just like license my design, so I don't do the printing, but I know a lot of people do. I know a lot of artists that do print their work, and I know like it takes like a certain printer to print like some good art prints. It just really depends on the printer, and then just the resolution you're exporting your art in. But I've never actually printed my artwork. I don't have a great printer for that, but I do want to get into that. It's just kind of, I've never actually needed to, but it is something that I'm interested in getting into.
Yeah, it seems like there's a good mix between people who have a printer and they like do a lot of their own prints versus people who just, have a company do it and ship it to you. But I'm in the same boat. I've printed very, very little of my work. I haven't really had too much.
Yeah, and normally like whenever I'm working with these clients, they'll send me the printed version and they give me like a certain amount of prints that I can keep for myself, and I could even sell them on my own. So I've never really had the need to print, but I'm getting to the point where I kind of want to like design my own greeting cards and sell them on my shop. So I probably should kind of start looking into that, but I've heard that it's fairly easy. It's just about like the printer.
Yeah, I think I just really dislike dealing with printers. They're so often finicky, but
yes,
if it's something that you do a lot, I can definitely imagine that it's a good investment.
Yeah, that's really true about printers. They're always messing up.
I just will go so long without using them, and that oftentimes causes issues.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think that looks better. Again, I'm just gonna update the placement of this. Okay, so that looks good. And then, so again, as I'm looking at it, I kind of see how I should adjust the spacing for certain things. So I'm actually I think I should bring seasons up a bit more. So I'm gonna group these. Let me group this seasons together and let me grab those colors. And I'm just grouping them.
Wade says, burning question. When do we add the glue and then dust it with glitter? This card is really hitting a nostalgia button for me, especially the ornaments. Yeah. Same feeling here.
Okay, so I have that done. I just moved up seasons and now it feels like the spacing is better. And again, I'm just looking at it, seeing what things that I can add to it, take away from it, adjust sizing for certain things. So far, this looks good. I think I'm going to add a little bit more details just to really make it pop a bit more. So I'm going to go back to a layer at the top and create a new layer all the way at the top. And again, using my pencil brush, just kind of add a little more lines on the piece. So I'm going to go just kind of add some lines here and there.
Also, just a quick heads up for everyone. We are going to be going over an artist spotlight in just under an hour or so. So if you want to hear more about it or you want to suggest anyone for a future artist spotlight, there is a tab at the top of the chat, top right, that says artist spotlight. You can click that and check it out.
And I like adding lines like this because it makes the lettering feel like it's moving. So I'm just adding them whenever there's kind of a curve somewhere.
Yeah, it adds some nice motion to it for sure.
But then I have to make sure I don't get carried away because I can just keep adding it everywhere.
Yeah, that's the thought I would have. It's sometimes really tough to know exactly like where to draw the line on something when I've pushed it too far.
Okay, so again, I'm just looking at it, taking a step back, overall analyzing the whole design and saying things that need to be adjusted. And so far, this is looking good. I'm trying to think. Again, just looking around. The one thing that's kind of bothering me are the ornaments. So I think I'm going to go and adjust the color a little bit on those ornaments. So I'm going to go back to my layer with the ornament colors. And I think this is it here. Yeah. So this ornament, I don't like it. So I'm going to change the colors here. Let me grab some of that green. I think I'll just fill this part with green instead of that pinkish reddish looking color.
The nice cool contrast to the rest of the colors there.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's better. I think that, I don't know why, whenever these two reds are together, that red starts to look a little bit neon to me.
Oh, okay.
But I'm gonna leave that for now. Just kind of taking a step back. I think I want to update this one to be more goldish because there's already, like, the one thing that I try to also keep in balance are the amount of the use of the color. So the amount of color I'm using in the piece. So there's a lot of red in here and there's a lot of green. So I haven't really utilized that goldish color. So I'm going to go in and fill in this big portion of the ornament in yellow. Just to kind of balance it out a bit more. There's into green at the bottom here. Okay, so that looks better to me. And again, I think this one's a little bit too red, so I'm gonna go ahead and erase it. I want the least amount of red.
Yeah, it's always nice once you have all the elements in place to be able to kind of reassess what's working and what's not. Zooming out always helps for that too.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always like, once I'm starting to add a color in my design, that's when I start noticing the things that I want to like change. Okay, so that looks better to me. Okay, so far so good. That looks good. And so now if I wanted to, add this into an email, I can send it as a digital card first. Let's grab all of those elements and, make them center on the page. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the layers I don't need. So I have all my layers here. This was my original design, my original sketch for the background. We can go ahead and delete that. I don't need that anymore. And then I have my color palette here. You can leave that there. This was a color that we used for the side of the green. And you can see it kind of makes it darker. I kind of like that. Hmm. That was an accidental addition. I might just leave it like that.
Do you usually keep the backgrounds pretty simple for these types of designs?
Yeah, because if there's a lot going on with like the lettering and the illustrations, I try not to do too much with the background. Some people like to add texture on the background, but I like to kind of keep it plain, especially if you're printing these types of cards. I think it's easier to like not do too much on the background. Just let the illustration or the lettering speak for itself.
Yeah, I think it's also a really nice contrast for all that texture that you see in the lettering.
Yeah, and then even if I turn off the grid, you can kind of see have a better idea for how it looks because the grid can be a
Mm.
little bit distracting. And then you can see where you have like some spots that like there's a little dot right here that I need to erase. It's just a matter of finding that layer. So there it is. I'm gonna go ahead and erase that layer. And then there's this little blue that showed up here, and I think it's actually this layer. Yeah. Okay.
Joanna says in the chat, I think developing a good relationship with your local printer would make things easier to pick up short notice projects and work out consistent pricing. Yeah, on the topic of
Yeah.
printing, that seems like a good tip if you
Mm-hmm.
can find a reliable local one.
Yeah, I need to actually do some research on that. I think there is like a printer, there's like a printer place where I live, but I think they mostly print like on t-shirts and like big graphic signs. I would be interested in like how they would be printing greeting cards, like because I've heard that people whenever they do greeting cards, they're very picky about the paper that they use. And so I know that's like an element as well. Like you're printing greeting cards, like you also have to think about the paper.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that's a big part of it. It's cool though that you mentioned that some of the companies you work for will send you a certain amount of prints. That's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool too because then I get to send like friends and family cards.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
just nice to kind of, it's really cool to hold your work and see it, like not see it on the iPad or digitally, but actually holding it is really nice too.
Yeah, definitely. There's something like I haven't printed many things, but there is something to be said about like seeing the thing you painted in a physical, I don't know, in a physical way. It's kind of a different experience.
Yeah, it is. So what I was doing right now is I was just duplicating some of the layers and merging them just so that the colors are a little bit more bolder. And you can tell like the red is a little bit more bold, the green's a little bit more bold, and then from the Jones family is darker as well. So I just want to make sure that those are a little bit darker. And so far the card looks good. So what I'm going to do next is I want to make sure everything's centered. So I'm just going to grab a couple of things and move them. And let me just, so again, like whenever you're working with the 10 of layers, at this point, I start to kind of combine certain layers because it gets a little bit crazy at some point. So I'm going to combine the greetings layers here and merge those. And I'm seeing where else I can merge. I want to put this one in this layer. I needed to drag it all the way to the bottom. And that's my seasons layer. This layer are the colors of my little berries. This layer is my little sparkle. And then greetings, let me combine those two here. And I'll merge those layers as well. I'm just kind of seeing what else I can merge together. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna merge all of my color, except for my reindeer. I will merge the color for everything else except the reindeer and the little sparkles. So I'll merge these two. And click on merge layer. And then I'm just going to drag this down as well. Put it in together. I'm just merging these layers. I'll go ahead and add that queen mask in here. Okay, so we have greetings on one layer with the lines all around it. We have seasons on one layer, greetings. You have to add that outline. So now it's all together.
Nice. All organized now.
all organized. And then we have these two layers, it's just the outline. Let me drag these on top of each other and merge them together. So now it's just the outline of our illustrations. Okay, so far so good. I'm just making sure everything is together. I'm gonna go ahead and delete my, actually I'll keep it just in case, my color palette just in case. Okay, so I have everything a little bit more organized here, as you can see on the right side. I have from the Jones family. I think I'll put that in here with this layer and merge those. Okay, so I'm just gonna start putting these together a little bit more. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjust the placement of these. I think I want to make the whole thing a little bit smaller. So let me see really quickly what I'm grabbing here. Okay. So I don't know if it's my eyes that are playing tricks on me, but it feels like it's a little bit to the left. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm just going to really just drag and drop these all together really quick. And then we'll just kind of center it on our page. And maybe decrease the size a bit. Okay, so that looks better to me. So now I have my card. Let me zoom in here. I might make it a little bit bigger. Let me just go back in, adjust the sizing again. Okay, and so there's my card. And then again, you can change the size of the card if you want, but for me, I think this works good. So now I have my greeting card. So what I'll go ahead, I'll export it to my iPad and just save it as a JPEG, and then export and save image. Okay, cool. So now that I have this, an easy way to just kind of send this is you can attach the image to an email, place it on your email and send it off. But before I do that, I want to show you how we can actually make this into a photographic card. So if you've seen these cards that you get in the mail from your friends and family, they usually have like a picture of the family on the front of the card and then Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays on it. And so I thought, there's probably a lot of people that want to do this, but always have to go through some sort of third party to like get them printed and that sort of thing. So I thought what would be fun is if we created our own and then you could just send them digitally to your friends and family. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just gonna see my size of my canvas and I want to see if I can edit the size. Right now the height is at 1080, but I think I'm going to double it. So let's make it about 2000. So it looks like this. And then let's grab our background layer, which is the color. Let's just stretch it all the way to fit. And click done here. And then we'll grab our design and pull it up.
So would this be like a folding style card?
No, so I was thinking we could do a variety of things. We could do like a sideways. I don't know if you guys have seen, some cards are landscape and then they have like the Happy Holidays on one side and the family image on the right side. Some of them are a portrait where the Happy Holidays is on the top and the photos on the bottom. And sometimes they kind of put the picture kind of blended in with the illustration.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're just gonna kind of play with it and see where we can place this photo.
Nice.
And I'm just gonna make sure this is centered, but there's an element that is coming off the page. So I just need to find where it's at. And I think it's in here. Yep, it's that layer. Okay. Let me just grab my eraser. Increase the size just so I can erase some stuff in here. And again, I'm just kind of moving this around. Just to fit center. Okay, so now we have that, and then I'm going to import a photo. So if you wanted to do like a photo card, you could send this digitally, send it via text, whatever you prefer. And I'm going to go to photos, and I'm going to go to Creative Cloud. I actually saved a photo from Adobe Stock, so we're going to just find this family photo. And let me just see libraries, my library here, and then I found this cute little photo of a family.
And just a heads up to everyone that Adobe Stock does have a free section. So if you ever want to search just for images that you don't have to license, basically, just flip the little tab to free, and there's lots of stuff you can kind of explore through.
Yeah, I love it. So far, Adobe Stock's pretty awesome. I've been using it for a lot of things too, even to mock up some of my work. That's like a great resource to have if you like mocking up your work on like notebooks and that sort of thing.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so I have my photo here, and then I'm thinking, how can I make it blend? Some people just kind of leave it below, something like this, where it's below the card and you can kind of get like the main season's greetings on the top, or we can kind of have it meshed into the design. So if we did it that way, I want to put it below my art, and then I'll pull it up here. Kind of let it blend in there, something like this. Oops, let me redo that. And then this is where you can kind of like adjust it as you go. What I would do sometimes is I'll kind of start drawing elements on the photo itself, and I also want the photo to kind of blend in with the background as well. I can also change the color of the background to match the photo. But let me just show you different ways that we can do this. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this image, because I'm going to erase this one just to kind of show you guys a way that we could do this. So going back to that layer, I'm going to grab my eraser, and I want to get the soft round opacity eraser. And let's decrease the size. Let's make the size about 150. We're going to play around with this. So I have to convert that. So you can kind of see I'm erasing it. I want it to blend into the card. So now it kind of seems like the photo is kind of blending into the illustration.
Yeah, it's a really interesting way to do it.
We're just kind of slowly erasing.
I think it works really well too with how those ornaments are hanging down like right above their head. It's kind of like bordering it almost.
And I'm just kind of going around, making it blend. And then I have my card like this. And if it's easier, I can just kind of make the selection here. Just so I don't erase them. And then I'll grab my eraser, and then I won't feel bad if like I accidentally erase a portion of it. Okay, so far so good. Then our illustration's kind of meshing in with the photo. And then, from here you can adjust the size of the card as well. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's go back into our size here. And I'm just going to reduce the size to, let's do 18. Okay, so that could work. And I'm going to pull down that photo of the family down, so it's that way. And then let's pull down our design so that it meshes with the family. So now we have our cute little holiday card that you can send to your friends and family, and you can send it via email or via text. But whenever I'm doing something like this, again, you can feel free to draw on top of the image as well. So we can also, continue to add to it if we want to make it feel more meshed with the photograph. So I can go ahead and add some little doodles around. And sometimes some people are like, oh, I feel like there's too much space all around it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more doodles just to kind of fit with the layout, especially with the photo here now. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer above this one. And I'm going to grab my pencil brush again. And let's go back to black. Let me just see if it's drawing on the layer. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna have my layers kind of open here. And I'm thinking maybe we can draw something here.
I like how the family's outfits kind of matches the color palette of the design too. So it already fits pretty well together.
Yeah, when I was looking, I didn't even think about that. I was trying to find like a family, but that's true. They do fit with the color palette. Okay, so I'm gonna add some of this here. Okay, just kind of filling up the space. Maybe adding some more sparkly portions here.
I've always really enjoyed that style where people kind of turn photos into, you know, they add illustrated elements into it. It's always a cool effect.
Yeah, I think it's super fun.
And a great way to tie these together for sure.
Yeah. Now I'm seeing if I want to add some lines here. I'm just gonna see if I like it or not. I might not keep it, but I'm just kind of looking really quickly. I think I'll do without. Maybe add some lines here. And some little circles. This is kind of what I do whenever I want to fill some space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that you have everything kind of in context, you can better see what it needs.
Yeah. Okay, so that looks good. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill those elements with some color. So now that we have kind of our overall design here, again, let's create a new layer. And I'm going to put it below that sketch layer again. And I'm going to fill in my colors here. I'll grab some of that gold. Fill in my sparkles.
So I was curious, on your website, I know you mentioned some of the brands that you worked with. Is there any brand that like stands out as like a big highlight?
I would say probably working with Rihanna's brand. That was really fun. I think like when I got the email from her brand, I thought it was like a joke. I didn't think it was real, but turns out it was a real job. And you know, that was probably one of my first bigger projects that I ever received. So I think that was kind of the point where I was like, oh wow, like, you know, it's pretty cool. Like I can work with like, you know, really cool brands and they recognize my work. But that was like a highlight. That was definitely a highlight in my career, I would say.
Yeah, that's cool. So they contacted you.
Yeah, and I think her office or her company is based in LA. So I was also thinking, oh, maybe they're looking for, you know, to support the LA community or support LA artists kind of thing. So I thought maybe that was the case as well. But that would be cool too, if like they're, you know, trying to support like the LA community. I know for me, whenever I'm working or, you know, doing projects, I like to work with other local businesses. That's just kind of like, I just have a passion for that. Like I live in, you know, I'm from Pasadena, or I live in Pasadena, and just kind of supporting local businesses and working with them. I just think it's really cool. I like to like, you know, collaborate and work with local businesses and support them, just because I also know what, you know, how much work it takes to have a business. So it's just kind of cool to have that support.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know how they found you initially? Did they mention that at all?
Yeah, I think they found me on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Instagram.
Yeah, that's funny that you're saying you thinking it was kind of a joke or something. If I feel
Yeah,
like if
I
I
thought it
got
was
that
a joke.
message, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. Sure you are.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was a joke. I was like, this can't be real.
To be fair, I don't think if they contacted me, them wanting like fantasy wizards and goblins
Oh.
would probably I'd probably have more of a reason to doubt it than
Yeah. Hey, you never know. You just never know.
yeah. If Rihanna ever wants to hire someone for goblins, I'm your
Yeah.
guy.
Okay, so I'm finishing up adding some color here. I think I want to make these little lines, maybe let's do them green. Okay. Oops, coloring outside the line here. But this is really cool. This is really fun. Something to create if you want to like send your loved ones like an e-card or something, especially with the pandemic, if you haven't seen some of your family. This might be a cool way to like send them like a little greeting. And I know I was even thinking like, oh, I want to send Christmas cards to my family. But I was trying to figure out how can I do it? Like I want to send my own design. So this would be a cool way to kind of send it to friends and family.
Yeah, that's looking great. It's cool to see this kind of all come together with the photo and the illustrated elements. It adds a whole kind of different dimension to it.
Yeah. So now I just duplicated that layer again where I have the outline of my illustrations right here. And then again, when you're working, you'll kind of see like some things that need to be fixed, and I can tell there's something. I don't know if my layer of the yellow it looks like it's above the outline here, so I'm gonna go and find that really quick. Let me just see. It is above, so I'm gonna drag it below. There we go. Okay, that would have bugged me, so I just had to fix that. Okay, so far so good. So again, I'm gonna kind of take a look at it, see what things I need to fix. And again, it's up to you. Maybe you want to add some elements here and there. Maybe you want to make the design a little bit bigger. Again, it's totally up to you how you would want to do it, how you would want to fix it. For now, I think this looks great. I would love to like send this to my friends and my family. So I'll go ahead and save that out as a JPEG as well. And I'm just exporting it, and then I'm just saving it to my iPad. Okay, so that is one of the ways that you can add a photo in and kind of like have it blend in with the illustration. The second way that you could do it, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this away, turn this one on, the one that has that full, without any eraser on it. I'm just gonna kind of make it smaller here. I think that's good size. Maybe erase some of it. I'm gonna grab my selection tool. Let's erase some of the top.
Also, just a reminder to everyone that if you are over on YouTube and you want us to see your comments and questions, feel free to hop on over to behance.net/Adobe Live. And if anyone in the chat has any questions, definitely let us know and I can relay them to Natalie.
Okay, so another way you can do this is like kind of create a little border around it. I could remove these illustrations if I want to here. I'm just gonna group these here. Let me just make sure. Let me undo that group really quick because some of these are different. Okay, so we could remove these illustrations around it. Let me just kind of turn them off really quick. So if we originally had this original design, what you could do is kind of make like a border around the photo. So if I created a new layer above that one, again, grabbing my pencil brush and then grabbing just the color black, maybe we can create like some sort of border here. Maybe some candy canes.
Do individuals ever contact you for commissions for like family cards or anything like that? Like people who aren't associated with the company?
Um, I get a lot of commissions for that kind of stuff, but not family cards.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because people probably maybe they didn't know that I could do that. But yeah, I mostly get commissioned for like people's businesses. Maybe they want some sort of illustration for like their social media or a logo, but I don't normally get like these types of commissions. I also kind of halted doing like work in that sense as well, because it's just sometimes it just kind of gets too much for me to like kind of do all these things. But yeah, I have not gotten a commission for something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm just like showing you how I can make like a border. I'll just do like something really simple, just to give you guys an idea. Making your own little border here. And then again, just holding down to create that straight line. And just holding down within that straight line here, dragging down within that straight line. And I've seen like some cards like this that create like a border, and then you can kind of fill it in. So I'm kind of keeping with the same style where I'm like using that black outline. And then let me just duplicate that so it is darker, and I'll just group those two layers and merge them. So I have those layers merged, and then I'll probably do the outline in the red. So I'll go ahead and grab this red here. Also to kind of make his little shirt pop. We could also change it to green if you want, but I'm gonna see how this red looks really quick. So I could just fill this in really quick. And again, I'm gonna put this layer below my outline. So let me just fill it in really quickly. You can kind of be messy with it, go outside the lines, because I can go ahead and erase it. But this is another way you can add a photo into your design. Maybe you don't want to draw, maybe you don't want to add extra elements, or maybe you don't want it to blend, maybe you want it to be more separate from the design. You can do some sort of like border for the photo here.
Yeah, and that texture kind of gives it a nice playful combination with the illustrated elements like the other one did too.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that it feels like it's all going together here.
Yeah, definitely. Also, welcome in chat to Potato Zubair. Good to see you.
And again, if anybody has questions, feel free to ask me. We're almost done with this portion because I wanted to show you guys another thing that I think would be really cool to add to your e-card.
Joanna says, I like how the baby is the main point of the view. Yeah, it's all about the baby. For me, it would just it'd be me holding cats like that.
Oh, I wonder. It's so funny because that's the photo I picked, probably because I subconsciously thought that baby was really cute.
It's a good photo.
Yeah, it's really cute. Okay, so almost done here. It is kind of like coloring in a coloring book.
Yeah.
But again, you guys can kind of get the gist of what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of trying to do it quickly, really quick. So just to kind of give you guys an idea. So I have my outline here. Oops, I think I didn't create a new layer for that black. So they're actually grouped on the same layer. But you can kind of see what I mean. If I duplicate that just to make it darker, you can see that, outlined frame. So you could do something like that if you wanted to incorporate a photo into your e-card. But for me, I kind of like having it kind of feel more integrated into the design, like having the photo blend into the design. So I'm going to keep with that original design, and I'm going to show you guys how you can add a little animation to your design, and then you can send it as a gift to your family. Because I think a playing card is good, but why don't we make it move, and then it'll really get people excited about your card.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
So that's one way you can do it with the photograph. So I'm going to go ahead and just group these down here, pull it down, and turn that layer off, turn my layers back on, my original ones here. And so this was the original design that I really liked because I like kind of like putting it together. So a cool thing that Fresco just added is like the animation portion of the app. And I personally am not a great animator, but I've used Adobe Photoshop to do frame by frame animation. So it's very similar to that process in Photoshop if you've done animating in Photoshop. And then they also added this cool little feature as well, which I'll show you, like a path to make your objects move. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So there's a variety of things we can have animated here. So we can make the deer like kind of fly away. We can have like the ornaments kind of jingle left to right, just depending on like what you want to move. I can show you guys how to do that. So
Nice.
Let's start with our reindeer, which is here. I want to make sure I can make it move.
So I haven't yet checked out the animation features in Fresco, so I'm excited to kind of see more about that.
Yeah, I just checked it out like probably I forgot when it came out, but I kind of checked it out, but I recently kind of just started playing around with it. So I thought it was really cool because I've done like animations in Photoshop, but I just think the path feature is really cool. So let me see something that I want to make move here. So I'm just seeing what part of my layers are together. I'm gonna have to combine all of my illustrations together besides seasons and greetings. I wanna put the ornaments and the outlines on one layer. But before I do that, I'm just gonna duplicate this whole thing just in case I mess up. So I have a tendency of duplicating some of my layers just because I wanna kind of test things out. And then if that doesn't work, I can always go back to my original design. So this whole entire stack right here, I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate that. And then I will turn that bottom layer off so that we're using this first one kind of like a tester to see how we animate certain elements in our design. So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to go ahead and organize these layers really quick. Let's put all the colors in one layer and group them and merge them actually. Actually, I'm going to put the reindeer by itself because I want to see if I could just animate that on its own. I might need to create a new layer for the top for the outline of it because the outline is actually connected to all the rest of the design. So I just want to animate that one object, and so it has to be on its own layer. And unfortunately, the outline is with the rest of the outlines in my illustration. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn this off really quick and go back to my little reindeer layer, and I'm going to make the outline above it. I'm going to go grab my black, and I'm just going to go around it really quick.
Also, In Prince says, it looks great. The lettering and picture blend very well and look well integrated.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think
hope everyone tries it.
Yeah, I think that drawing over the top of the photo really helps, like, kind of make them feel integrated together.
Yeah. Just kind of outlining my reindeer here really quick because I want to try to animate it. Kind of looks like a horse at this point. I'm going to turn on my other layer really quick just so I can see how I did it. Okay, I'm just looking. Okay. Going back to my layer and then drawing that line here. Okay, and then again turning on that layer again because I want to make sure it looks the same. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the opacity of this one just so I can see where to draw on it because it doesn't feel like it matches. So just kind of going, oops, that's what I forgot. I forgot the nose. So then drawing the antlers here. Okay, so now I have my reindeer. I can go ahead and increase the opacity for this one. Okay, so since I'm gonna make the reindeer move, I don't actually want this reindeer showing. So I'm gonna duplicate this layer really quickly. And then what I'm gonna do is hide this one, just in case I wanna go back and fix something, and go to this top layer, and I'm going to, let me turn off my reindeer, and I'm gonna erase the sketch here of the reindeer. So let me actually get a better brush here. Let's get the hard hand here. Oops, let's make the brush a little bit smaller so we can have a better idea for what we're erasing here. I might have to zoom in here because I don't want to erase this little flourish that I made. I'm just gonna decrease the size again. Okay, so I might have to go over that flourish one more time. I'll just grab my pencil really quick. Okay. Okay, so we have this, and then we have our reindeer here. It doesn't have an eye, I need to add an eye. Okay, so let's add the eye here. Okay. So I have my reindeer and I have my illustration. So a way that I can make the reindeer move is if I click on this little bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So above the ruler, you'll see these three little circles and a little play sign. I can click on that. And the first way you can do an animation is the path, which the path is pretty cool because you just kind of draw a path on the screen and it'll show you, it'll make that object move along that path. So if I click on path, I can draw a path here. Let's say I wanted to move like a little up and down like this. And you can see the reindeer moves along the path. So that's pretty cool. Like it's just moving. It kind of gives your card more life. I thought it was like a really cool feature, this path thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's so quick that you can get that effect.
Yeah, it's so fast, and you can adjust the settings for your animation. So you see the layer properties pop up here. I can add multiple reindeer, so I can click on. Let's add 2 reindeers.
Oh.
So just by clicking add multiples, you can add multiples of that object that you're trying to animate. And then you can also adjust the frames per second. You could also do randomize. You could also do align to path. So align to path, it will change the rotation of the object. So let me just show you really quick. So now it'll kind of align it'll align to that path, but that looks kind of weird. So if I turn that off.
They're experiencing turbulence.
Yeah. So it'll look something like this. You can also do like a frame by frame animation, but I thought this was really cool because you can just kind of easily make, if you're not like a great animator, because for me personally, I'm not a good animator. I'm going to attempt to do something, but definitely not a good animator here. But I like to kind of bring my artwork to life. So I thought this was a really cool feature for people that don't really know how to animate but want to bring their artwork to life. So I'm going to go ahead and let's turn off this.
I mean, it already has like a nice smooth motion to it, which is really neat.
Yeah, it's really cool how they added this feature. I think that is just one of the coolest features. So I was honestly blown away by this feature. Probably animators are like, that's like easy. But for me, I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah, it's super accessible.
Yeah, it's really easy. It's just really easy to use. I thought it was really cool. You could also make the sparkles like kind of like flicker in and out. That's another thing you can do that I was like kind of practicing the other day. But the other thing is we could do a frame by frame animation. So in this layer here, we have our reindeer, and now I can make like a frame by frame animation of maybe him like moving his legs, or maybe like shaking his head, or wagging his tail or something. So just depending on like kind of the animation you want to do, you could do something of your own. But again, I'm gonna attempt to make this reindeer like move his legs. I'm not an animator, but I wanted to show you guys like it's kind of cool that you can animate your designs here. So all we would have to do is, instead of clicking on path, we're gonna click on this little plus here. So we're gonna create a new layer here. Let's go in our settings, and I'm gonna turn on onion skin so I can see the background. So I could see that first layer. So I wanna work off of the original sketch, which is that first reindeer that I drew. And then I wanna create a new reindeer and have them move a different way. So on this path, what I'll do is I'll draw that new reindeer. And maybe I want his legs to kind of maybe kick forward a little bit. Any animators watching, feel free to give me some tips.
Yeah, that's a good question. Does anyone in the chat have experience with animation? I really do not. I've done a little bit of stuff in After Effects way back when, but frame by frame animation I've never really experimented with.
Yeah. And I don't even, I'm trying to think of how like reindeers fly. I think they kick their
Oh
legs
yeah.
forward.
I'm almost picturing like how dogs swim, like something with the legs happening like that.
This is gonna look weird, but hey, you should try.
I don't know the logistics of reindeer flight, so I can't
Yeah.
help you there.
Yeah, so maybe I'll make his tail wet, maybe go a little bit down or something. And just following the same path. I want it to look like the same reindeer but he's just moving. Let me just clean up this line. I'm gonna have to fill him in again though. Maybe, oh, I have a good idea. Maybe he's reared off and his little nose turns red. What did I do? Oops, I clicked on the wrong layer. That scared me.
I feel like I have those moments a lot when I'm working.
Yeah, you're like,
this time.
what did I do? Okay.
Luckily, Control Z is a thing, so that's always good.
Yeah. Okay, just drawing in his little antlers here. I think I accidentally did a couple of things. Okay, so then I'm gonna color him in again. Let me just grab that color. I'm gonna go back to that first layer because I need that color. And then let's fill him in. So if you're not like sketching your designs, maybe you're using like the color drop and like more simple designs, this will probably go a lot faster, but I really like the look of the texture here. So
yeah.
Color.
Also, it looks like Wade and Joanna in chat have done some animation, so we got a couple people.
Oh, cool. They're probably looking at me and like thinking, girl, you need to fix that leg.
I have done a little 3D animation way in the past.
Oh.
It's a little different than hand drawing it, but that's the closest I've got.
What is 3D animation?
When I tried it, it was like in this community college class, probably a decade ago at this point. But we used Maya, and it was fun because you have a 3D object and you just move it in space and keyframe it, and you can kind of like.
Oh, it's like Blender.
Yeah. Maya is similar to Blender. You can I think you can do a lot of the same stuff in Blender. Yeah,
I tried Blender because I was interested in like messing around with the software just to see how like I can bring my lettering to life.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very daunting like software. When you go into it, it's just like a lot of stuff if you're not used to that stuff.
That's my experience with 3D software as a whole. But it's funny you mentioned that because I just started learning Blender.
Oh, really?
2 or 3 weeks ago for a personal project. So
cool.
I'm in that experience right now. It's just like with any new software, but especially 3D, I think it's just like you have to give yourself a few weeks where you're allowed to just be bad at it.
Yeah.
And just learn. And then once you get the basic tools down, like with any software, that's the bulk of the work that you're going to be doing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I wonder if my color's the same. Can't tell. But it could be because the onion skin. Let me just turn off.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering about that.
It was making me, I was like, oh no, I thought I had the same color. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a little shadow on him, a little root off here. Okay, and so like I'm making his legs kick. I'll do one more root off here.
When we were talking about seeing things printed, it's really cool to see in a physical media. I feel like it's the same thing for animation. Like when you can see something you've done kind of come to life in that way, it's exciting to
like move. Yeah, I wanted to make my letter, like I've seen like some artists make their lettering move. Like it moves, like the letters kind of do like this cool animation.
Oh.
but I feel like you'd have to get like a motion, some sort of animator for that, because I definitely can't do that. I haven't tried, but it's really hard.
Is it frame by frame that you've seen, or is it something maybe in After Effects or something like that?
I think they do it frame by frame, where they're like making the letters kind of appear by like little, I don't know if you've seen it, like appear like little droplets. These little droplets come together and then they form the lettering.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I've
those are always
seen
cool.
that. Yeah, but I always wonder how, like, I think they do frame by frame animation, but I feel like you have to be like, I guess, educated in that, or maybe you've like kind of been skilled or learned that kind of like animation effect, or I don't know. I've tried it, and I feel like there's a lot to learn in that, I guess, in that area.
I think there's whole majors for that within like animation, right? Like it's motion graphics, I think is usually the term you'll see for classes. So yeah, it's a lot to learn, I imagine.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that. I'm so interested in all these other things that I really want to like maybe take like a class on something, just to see if I can learn something new and like add it to my list of things that I can do for my business.
Yeah, there's always like endless amounts of things to learn, and that's kind of the story of my life. It's like 500 things I want to try.
Yeah.
Also, a quick hello to Annika in the chat. Good to see you. And Wade is giving us the reminder that we have about 3 minutes or so for the artist spotlight. We'll have a little bit of time after that too to continue working on this, but I'll let you know whenever you get to like a good stopping point. We'll transition over.
Okay.
But you have a few minutes.
Okay, cool. We can do this one last little frame, and then we can make Rudolph move. Let's make him move. I'm interested in seeing how this guy is gonna move.
Yeah, like how it comes out is always kind of fun.
Maybe we can all have a laugh together. See how he moves.
I like the path animation too that you were showing, because the way you can duplicate the reindeer, I can like totally picture that being an animation of the sled flying through the scene where you see a bunch of reindeer going, and then the last image is like a sleigh with Santa on it or something. So
that's actually a really cool idea.
So instantly that would become much easier with that ability to kind of duplicate them.
Okay, so you can see my reindeer by kind of switching these. Now let's press play.
Little leg kicks.
There's a little dot in there. Let's find that dot. Where is that dot? Maybe it's here. Okay, so little leg kicks. He's kind of moving. Maybe I needed to accentuate his leg a little bit more, but you can kind of see that's like that kind of animation you can create. And then if I pause that, let's say we add a path.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, along with the path. I like it.
Look at how cool that is. Does anybody else think this is super cool? Because I feel like I saw this and I thought it was so cool.
I like it because it looks like he's like flying really enthusiastically. Like, look at me, I'm doing it, with like the excited kicks.
He looks like he's like, I'm really trying to fly right now.
I'm new at this.
So that's like something really cool that you can do. I'm gonna edit the path here. Oops, let me undo that. I want to edit that path because just so he stays on screen. Let's see.
Paloma says, I like the moving texture. Yeah, it reminds me of some of that traditional animation where you see a bit of that texture vary between frames.
Okay, there we go. Let's keep them like that. Cool. So then, yeah, that looks cool. I like this. I think I want to put them on top of everything though.
Yeah, it's really cool how you can just repeat those frames so it loops and then put that along a path.
There we go. Now he's on top of that little line there. He's a little see-through, but we can fix that if we fill him in a bit more. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool little feature that Adobe has, like that you can animate, you know, your designs, which is really fun. Really cool and really easy.
Yeah, that was quick.
Just see if I want to edit something. And again, you can go open up your settings and adjust those motion settings for that little animation that you created. But again, It's up to you how you want it to look. For me, I'm definitely an amateur in this area for animation, but I'll play around with the settings just to see what works. I can adjust the frames for a second. Let me make him go a little bit slower. Or I can make him go really fast. But I think the one that I had was good. I think it was like 14 or 13. Let me make it a little bit faster. 17. There we go. Okay, I think that's a good little. That's
it's working. I like the blinking nose too.
Yeah.
That's
great. I forgot about the blinking nose.
It like backs up the enthusiasm of the reindeer's movements.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this might be a good time to jump into our artist spotlight of the day, and then we can always jump back into this a little bit more before we head out. But let's take a look at that. I will pull that up.
Okay.
All right, so this is our artist spotlight of the day. This is Daksha Giri. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But this is their Instagram. We can I can post that in chat for anyone who wants to take a look. And we'll go through a couple of these designs, a lot of lettering too. Looks like there's some...
Daksha, or I think it's Daksha or Daksha. But she actually took some of my courses, so yeah, I know her. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're familiar with her work.
Yeah, I'm definitely familiar with her work. She has a really, really nice style of lettering.
Yeah, and I like these illustrated elements too. There's some really cool combination like this one here.
Oh, that
some lettering cute. And some illustration. That's nice.
That's really cute.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I want to learn how to draw characters like that. That's really cute.
Yeah, it fits in really nicely with the text too, just like the style and the color has a nice unity. Just scroll through here and then we'll pop up to the top. Yeah, there's a nice nice mix between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are great. Let's check it out at the top here. Yeah, I like this kind of a textury style where you can see like the start and stop of the brush strokes has a very strong brush feel to it.
Also, like how she did like that mirroring. I wonder how she did that. I wonder what app she used for that. But like the mirroring of like the design. I know you could do that in Adobe Illustrator on the iPad, like create patterns. That looks really cool.
Yeah, the symmetry.
Yeah, the symmetry tool.
Yeah, Photoshop has a symmetry tool as well that I've used from time to time, which is can be really helpful for that. Do you know how this effect is achieved with this kind of like this perfect one stroke? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it might be a brush. It looks like it could be a brush, but you can also like kind of do some erasing on the edge of the letters just to give it that texture as well, like kind of have them end that way.
Yeah, it's a great style. Some more bordering here. This is really cool. I love these illustrated elements. They fit in so nicely with the text, the way it's like kind of flat colors and more simplified.
Yeah. I love that color palette. Oh, she's showing her how she's improved.
Yeah.
Really cool. I love seeing those like this is my work from 2 years ago and this is how it looks now. Yeah,
definitely.
I love seeing that.
I think that's one of the most exciting things kind of for myself is like just seeing that progress is super motivating.
Yeah, I've seen some of my work from back in the day and I'm like, whoa, there's a huge improvement.
Yeah, it's great to save your work like that too, because you can see how far you've come and it's a great way to gauge growth and just be motivated.
Yeah, and it's hard for me. A lot of my old work is on paper, so I actually saved a lot of it, so I get to go look back at it. But I saved so many pieces of paper. Yeah,
that's great. And I really like the texture on this one too. You can kind of see really cool. Some sort of blending mode or something that you can kind of see the texture show through, which integrate. It's all nice. integrates
Yeah, that
it
looks really
nicely.
cool. That looks really cool.
Yeah. Little dimension on these ones.
Mm. I like that texture in the background too. I wonder how she did that.
Yeah, it kind of looks like almost a construction paper texture, like a wrinkled paper.
I also like how she like made the little sparkles glow. That's really cool. I like that
Yeah.
little glowy effect.
Yeah, and there's some really nice, well, focus part of the design. There's some really nice
Mhm.
focus in this in terms of contrast, because like the background
Mhm.
has that wrinkled texture, but it's very subtle. Like the contrast is very, very
Mhm.
soft. And then you get this really
Yeah.
strong, sharp contrast with the design elements.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
she's
Another,
showing off her work. Oh, that is so cool.
yeah, all the way from 2016 to now.
Wow. That's a really cool idea. Just to kind of create this kind of layout and share your work throughout the years. That looks really cool. I love that idea.
Yeah, it looks like it's talking about the focus for each year too, and the type of work. So that's really neat.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's really cool.
Kind of
First
seeing
time
like,
lettering.
yeah.
First, I wonder if these are all her first digital lettering.
Hmm.
That looks really cool.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Illustrations.
Kind of seeing that journey.
Mm-hmm.
More cool texture. I really like that.
I like the colors. They look really cool.
I don't know how this was done, but like the way that the text is cut out of the background. I mean, it looks like it's cut out. It has a really,
Yeah.
really interesting effect. Like it has those kind of I think there's a little bit of a shadow, but it kind of has those rough edges that fits in with the
Yeah,
text.
it does.
Super
It does
cool.
look like that.
Looks like there's more here. Okay.
Super. Don't shrink your dreams, supersize your courage and abilities. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. I love the style because overall you can see she has a very consistent style. Like everything looks like it kind of belongs together, even though there's a lot of variety between these designs.
Yeah, she's very really good at design. She took my greeting cards course, and I think I think 3 of her cards sold to like greeting card companies. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, really cool. And then I think I remember her telling me, I just spoke to her recently, but she said that before she took my course, she would try to apply for like this greeting card design position. And then after the course, she got the position. So it's really cool to like hear like these stories of like, oh, like nice to know that like maybe some of the knowledge I helped her with, like it helped her like, you know, with her business. Cause I definitely see like her work, and especially her greeting cards, they're really, really good.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of range here for sure too. Like these, I really like these sort of cut out illustrated elements within the text.
Yeah,
that's
I
really
love
neat.
that.
And the way it fits into the photo works really well too. There's a nice contrast between those. A lot of illustration in this one too.
I love those flowers.
The use of shadows is really good here because like it shows a bit of dimension, but it's not like super heavy handed on the shadows. So it still has that kind of soft illustrated look to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Don't let the world decide your pace. I love that. That's so true. I agree with that quote.
Yeah, another really cool combination of lettering and illustration here.
Yeah, and the little guy right there. That's really cool.
Okay, there's the sketch. That's great to see.
I love seeing those. I love seeing like your sketch and then your final, because the sketch is always like messy and all over the place, and then you see like, oh, this was my vision all along, and it came together super nicely.
Yeah, it's so cool because it can be really loose and it's just showing kind of the concept of it, and then you see the finished thing looks fantastic.
Yeah, and her hand drawing is really good. I feel like for me, it's hard for me to draw hands like in a very simple way. But I know Sam, he's probably like amazing at drawing hands.
Hands are the bane of every artist. But yeah, that's a good point. Like, how do you simplify a hand to be kind of graphic and simplified that it works with the style? But I think she did a great job with that.
Yeah, she did a really good job with that.
Okay, a little more dimension to these ones. Some nice texture too.
Positivity with practicality is a wonderful formula. I like those long shadow, like the long shadow on
Yeah.
on the lettering too.
Looks like this may have been done with like the 3D and Illustrator, kind of similar look. Some really nice shadows. Okay, another color palette here.
Oh, cool. And I think she changed the lettering too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, different, like more
pretty
like
much all of them. Yeah, it has a different feel to it. Definitely.
Oh, I think this was her progress from 2 years too. It says it in the caption.
Oh yeah, Throwback Thursday to one of my older pieces.
Really cool. It's nice to see like oh yeah, you can definitely see like how she's improved with her drawing the letters themselves. That's like one thing, like I try to tell like other lettering, like people that want to learn lettering, like try to build your letters instead of drawing them, and you can tell like definitely in 2021 she's like building the letters. It looks really nice and clean, but both of them are both super nice.
What do you mean when you say building the letters?
So like a lot of people that want to learn lettering, they will start off by just writing the words. So like in positivity, she wrote positivity, and then she wrote with, just writing them. But in the next one, I can tell that she looks like she's actually kind of building the letters. And what I mean by that is she's using shapes to develop each letter. So for example, wonderful looks like she's using rectangles and geometric shapes to build each letter. So with the N, there's 3 rectangles that she built that letter with, instead of just drawing the N, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I see what you're getting at.
Yeah, so it's just like, I feel like when you start building the letters, it kind of opens up the possibilities of what that letter will look like, and like the types of styles.
Yeah, it's a little bit like more intentional with how you're approaching it.
Yeah,
there's like in the 2021 version, I feel like a much more structured and clear hierarchy between the shapes and the letters, which gives it a really nice read.
Yeah.
Check out a couple more of these. Kind of a simple style on this. I like the shadow, the boldness that adds. Yeah, really a great range of styles between these, and they all work very well.
I like when people do carousels like that, where they're kind of giving you like some messages to read. It makes it really fun to like experience the art as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a little interactive bit to it, kind of waiting to see what's next. It's great.
Oh, I like that. It's cute. I like that.
Got a much more illustrated one here as well.
That's a really nice illustration.
Yeah.
It feels very like DreamWorks.
Like yeah. Characters. They definitely have like kind of an animated character feel to them. I like the kind of the font style here with the E's.
Yeah. And how she's using like like a gradient on the colors too. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, the sketches are always great to see. That's one of my favorite parts.
I would love to know like how she like goes from sketch to color, because I wonder if she takes the sketch and then maybe draws on colors on top of it, because she doesn't have any outlines. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of an outline on the skin, on the chin and the neck. Yeah. So it does look like she does some sort of cleaned up lines for those areas compared to the sketch. But I love the sketch that you can tell it's so composition heavy. Like it's really just seeing if all the shapes and everything reads. Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah, these are awesome. So if you guys do not follow her, definitely check her out. I can put this again in the chat. I will give her a follow too. It's always cool for me to see people who do lettering and this kind of art, because it's definitely an area I don't know as much about. So these are really great use of it. All right, so we can switch back over to your work, and then we have I'd say maybe a little over 5 minutes more to kind of experiment around and do some more stuff.
Cool. So I will jump back into it, go back into our little animation here. Let me just get this started. Okay, I have my screen. Okay, cool. So here we go. Going back to like that little animation I had. I'm just gonna show you guys how it looks. Just that little reindeer going up and flying off into the sky. And so the reason why I wanted to show you guys animation is to show you that you guys can attach this as a GIF to an email, to a text message. Like you could attach this kind of animation to for your friends and family to see, and that way it kind of makes it, come to life a bit more. And we could continue to animate the rest of the design. Maybe we can animate something a little bit smaller, something that doesn't take too much work, or we can continue animating the reindeer so he kind of looks like he's like jumping up and down. I'm actually going to just edit the path I'm going to delete this path and create a new path because I want him to kind of look like he's like flying instead of going straight into like a diagonal line. So again, just clicking on path, and I'm just going to see if I could do something like this. Let me so I'm going to delete the path again. And I want to see like which one looks better. So maybe I'll just kind of do like a clicking on path and maybe doing something that goes up and down. There we go. That's something more of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's great how quickly you can try out different motions. Like you kind of had the more wavy peaks versus the smooth curves.
And I'm just trying to find like the right path here. Just want to see if I can make him maybe go down.
Oh, I like that depth of the going behind the text.
Cool. Let me see if I put him on top. Pause him for a second, grab that layer and bring him to the top. Let's see how that would look. I think it needs to be darker, but let's let me edit that path. Let me delete the path.
Definitely get a feel for the idea though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make him go right here. And then I'm gonna just add two of these little reindeer. Just kind of gonna edit the speed here. Maybe let's see if we can go faster. So again, I'm on the right side of the screen, just playing around with the settings. So I'm just making, here I'm just, increasing or decreasing the frames per second. That looks better. And then maybe we can scatter a little bit so they're kind of not super right next to each other.
It's subtle, but I really like the little wag, the little wiggle of the tail.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it.
It's a nice touch.
Okay. So then once I kind of have that, let me go back to my layers. Once I have like my little animation, again, you guys can continue to add to your animations if you want. You can, make the little ornaments move, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys the rough idea for how you can do it, but you can do that with any element of your design. Essentially, using the same process, you can use the path, or you can do the frame by frame animation, or you can combine the two and make them do a frame by frame animation and by moving around, and they're like moving around along a path as well. Before I do that, I kind of want to make some little sparkles pop up really quickly here. So I'm just gonna grab my brush again, and then we already have the animation thing showing, the little animation button selected on the right corner. So I'm just gonna add some lines here. Again, just doing some frame by frame animation.
Patty is asking, can you have elements that are off screen come into the frame?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think you can, but then they wouldn't necessarily, I guess they would start to show up like little by little at the edge of the screen. I'm not sure if I understand the question.
What I'm imagining is maybe like if you had the reindeer start completely off screen and go through the panel from one end to the other. I'm not sure if that's what she meant, but
that might, yeah, I think I can try. Let me duplicate that really quickly just so you can see if we could try to do it. If I take it and place it over here, let's see.
Yeah, as long as you can kind of, oh, yeah, it looks like it may cut it off there.
Yeah, I don't think it works.
That's a
Yeah,
good
I think
question. I'm wondering if there is a way that you can do that because that would be neat.
yeah, because when I did it, it looked like it was breaking. Because I think it's only whatever it's animating is what's ever on screen.
Hmm.
So once it's cut off from the screen, I think it's doesn't even consider that part of the object anymore, from what I can tell. Okay, so that's pretty much our design. And then what I would do is I would just export it as a GIF. So I would go to the sharing button here, the sharing icon, and you can just go to publish and export. And then you can click export as, and then we want to do a GIF. So let me find that setting. So you want to click on motion actually, and then I could export it as an MP4, GIF, or PNG sequence. If I'm going to send it in an email as an attachment to my email, I would just create a GIF. And then I would click on generate frames here. And then while that's loading, it's generating our frames, and then I can click on play, and then I can attach this to an email, and then it kind of comes to life. What I would normally do is I would continue with the animation and just have those animations loop, because it kind of gets stuck. It just does one little, just one bit of that animation from beginning to end. But if I were to loop it, it can continue going on a little bit longer. So again, we just have to mess around with it and see how that works.
Yeah, it's great because I've seen a lot of those kind of animated greeting cards that you can go online and send people. So it's really cool to see how you can like illustrate your own and then actually animate it too.
Yeah, I mean, so far, like I was trying this out and like sending it in an email to some friends, and they thought it was really cool. So I just thought it was a really cool feature that, Adobe Fresco has added to the application.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have that. I'm going to click on done, and I'm going to show you guys how I would, how I would attach it to an email. I'm going to see if I can do that on my iPad. So I'm going to go to, oops, I accidentally drew a line there. So let me see if I can just open up an email here. I'll compose an email, and let's just say I want to add it. I can save it. I should have been saving it to there we go. I can click use. And I'll just send it to myself so you can see how it would look.
Now, do you know what size that exported out to?
Let me see. It was 1350 by 1800.
Okay. Did it say what the final like file size was at that?
Let me see. Let me try exporting it again really quickly. Let's see.
I imagine they're not too big that, any email should be fine.
So this one says 768 by 1024. I guess like it compresses it. Let me see. Because it might compress it for the GIF probably.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it doesn't say the size, but it says it's 778 kilobytes.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you're asking? Like the
Yeah, I was just curious about the file size.
Yeah, so is that like a large? That's like a smaller or large size. What would you say that is?
You said 700 kilobytes?
Like 768?
Yeah, that seems really small. Yeah, definitely don't think anyone would have trouble sending those to people. So that's really
cool. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, then you could attach it to your emails. You can send it to like in a text, and then like the image would move, and that's kind of a cool way to send your greeting cards or your e-cards to your friends and family. You can also just kind of get rid of the photo altogether if you just want to have just the lettering or the illustration in the email and not the photo itself. And so like if I wanted to do that, I could just get rid of the image and kind of go back to my original design, and same process, just kind of animating things, the things that I want to move on the page, or maybe add a message on the bottom of the card as well. It just depends on like your preference. But so far, like I've been, playing around with this and like sending it to friends and family just to see like how they're looking at the animation. And then when they see the animation, their eyes light up and they're like, "Oh, this is cool." Like they've never seen something like that before. So I think it's a really cool feature that Adobe's adding. And I think they're going to continue to like improve the software. So far I'm like super happy with the application.
Yeah, I think this is great. Turned out really well. I think people being able to see something like that that's so personalized is definitely would be super exciting. That kind of brings us to the end of our stream today. So if you want to tell people a little bit about where they can find you online and all that.
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Instagram at Threeologie. You can find me on my website, threeologie.com. But yeah, Instagram is probably the easiest way to contact me if you want to chat or maybe you have questions about greeting cards. I'm always there to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Nice. Natalie, thanks so much for joining us. This looks awesome. It turned out great. Appreciate you sharing your expertise with us. And thank you to the chat for joining us and asking questions, hanging out. It was good to see everyone. And we will see you all next time. Stay tuned. We got more streams coming up.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.